Have you ever, considered that the loudest declarations of independence you hear from people might not actually be confidence, at all?
Oh, yeah, usually it's the exact opposite.
Right, because what looks like pursuing freedom is sometimes, well, just the fastest way to outrun a cage that nobody else can even see.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So today in this deep dive, our mission is to sort of decode our own life choices. And we're going to use three characters you might know from anime, Luffy, Ace, and Sabo, just to really examine the architecture of the decisions we make.
And what's fascinating here is how perfectly these three characters frame these, really complex psychological and philosophical dilemmas.
Definitely. So let's look at Ace and Sabo first. I mean, Ace grows up carrying a father's name he never chose.
Right.
A name that basically made the entire world decide he deserved to die before he'd done a single thing.
Yeah. So he essentially spends his whole life just trying to outrun this idea that he was born a mistake.
Exactly. And then you have Sabo, who is born into this aristocratic family that, treats him like literal property tied to a bloodline.
Yeah, and he responds by literally burning his entire old identity to the ground just to escape it.
But here's the thing. They both end up in the exact same psychological trap, right?
Yeah.
Which brings us to Luffy, who is the one exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, Luffy is totally different. He wants freedom just for its own sake.
Right. There is no cage behind him.
None. He's not running from anything, which is exactly why he becomes the gravitational center that the other two orbit. You have two guys running from something and one just running toward his own joy.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because sprinting away from a bear looks physically identical to sprinting toward a finish line.
Oh, wow. That is such a good way to put it.
Thanks. But the inner reality completely changes the destination.
It completely changes it, yeah.
Yeah.
In psychology, we call this avoidance versus approach motivation.
Avoidance motivation being the bear.
Exactly. Avoidance-driven freedom is defined entirely by what it's fleeing. But the problem is the cage is internal.
Right, because you literally take it with you.
Yes. You can sail to the literal ends of the earth, but because your nervous system is still reacting to a ghost, that cage comes right along with you.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because you are physically in motion, running creates this dangerous placebo effect.
Oh, definitely.
The wind is in your hair, you're putting miles between you and your past, so it feels like progress.
Yeah.
You don't realize it fundamentally prevents you from ever truly arriving anywhere.
Right. And that contrasts with approach-driven freedom, which is what Luffy has. It's the rarer kind. It isn't defined against anything.
So it doesn't need an old life to reject.
Exactly. He just wants what he wants. It is freedom as a pure choice rather than freedom as a panicked reaction.
Wow.
Yeah. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it brings up the philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre.
Oh, okay. Sartre.
Yeah, he argued that we are, quote, condemned to be free.
Wait, condemned. Really? I mean, running away from a burning building is just basic survival. Calling the relief of escaping a condemnation feels incredibly harsh.
It sounds super harsh until you realize Sartre saw true freedom as a terrifying responsibility.
Yeah.
See, when you are just running away, your identity is easy. You are simply not the fire.
Oh, I get it. You have a built-in excuse, like a singular focus.
Exactly. But once you escape, true freedom demands that you build a self from scratch with zero excuses left to hide behind.
Which is the condemnation.
Right. So for Ace and Sabo, their freedom starts as escape, but it has to slowly, painstakingly evolve into something they actively choose rather than something they flee.
While Luffy never needed that conversion, I mean, he's just never taught to want anything else. He skipped the escape phase entirely.
Yeah, and think about it in the real world.
Really?
It is exhausting to build an identity solely out of not being something else.
Yeah, so what does this all mean for you listening? Ask yourself honestly right now. Is that freedom you are currently chasing? A job change, a move, a messy breakup, actually just fleeing something you haven't looked at directly?
It is the most important question you can ask yourself, because the freedom you're running toward and the freedom you're running from will take you to completely different places, even if the map looks identical from the outside.
Running feels like progress, but it isn't the same as arriving. So name the thing you would be forced to face if you simply stopped moving for 1 week. Just total stillness. Because that stillness is where your actual work begins.